afternoon, and thanks for tuning in for another half hour of Broker Talk. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host, and Broker Talk brings you the unvarnished look at the real estate industry. Each week, we bring you a professional guest who will share insight and information you can use today. Today's show is not just about one of Charlestown's favorites. He grew up, his parents never owned a home, but he has succeeded. He serves his community and he serves this industry throughout his many years. Larry Rideout is chairman and founder of Gibson Sotheby's International Realty, serving most of Massachusetts from the tip of Provincetown to Cape Ann. Consistently named to the Real Trends Top 100 Real Estate Companies, Gibson Sotheby was just named number one in Massachusetts-based companies in the Real Trends Top 100 Companies. But this does not tell Larry's stories. It's just where he is right now. Larry's business path has taken him through a succession of important and influential jobs in the real estate industry. And along the way, he's been serving his community of Woburn. He's been on the Chamber of Commerce. He led the public library. He was part of the Housing Authority. He also is involved in the Massachusetts Association of Realtors Government Affairs Committee for several years. All of that is important, but it really doesn't tell what's the truth about Larry Rideout, and that's family is the most important. And to bring in part of the family, today, playing the part of Hey Now, Kingsley, is Jim Lowenstern, the chairman and founder of Casas Unlimited. Welcome aboard, Jim.
International.
International, everywhere. Larry.
Hey now, Larry.
Yeah,
Hey now to both Larrys.
there we go.
Leave one Larry out. Yeah, two. We're all stocked up on Larrys.
Yeah, two Larrys, no waiting. Thank you so much for giving us some time, Larry. Let's talk a little bit about family and how that was the backbone for your success from the early on, if you could, for a moment.
Sure. First and foremost, thank you both for having me on here. I appreciate being asked. It started, we talked a little earlier, and if anyone sees my social media posts, they know that I say family a lot. I say relationships a lot because that's kind of, I have a business partner, Paul McGann. When we started the company, we followed the track that we both, and I won't speak for Paul, I'll speak for myself. I moved around a lot. I had two brothers and a mother and a father, a nice family unit. And we lived in 4 or 5, maybe 6 different places over the course of my life. I ended up in Charlestown at 18. But in order to get there, we had to be a very, very strong family unit. There was no uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandparents where we were. So everything was about our unit, our family unit, and about taking care of each other. And I think a lot of what Paul and I agreed to do in my company is reflective of that. We're more inclined and more important to us that there's a culture, a family culture, a good person joining our company than it is about the numbers. I know everybody talks about the numbers, but the reality is we feel like if we get the right person and the right fit, we'll help them get to where they want to be in terms of their success. And we've just followed that all along. And we started out with 3 offices, 50 agents. And what we did was go to our agents and say, look, we want to grow this thing, but we want to grow it in this manner. We want to grow it. I want a like-kind company. I want agents that all can work together, be able to be collaborative. We're not a, cutthroat organization. We want to try to make it a family organization. So we started it by invitation only. And what we asked our agents were, well, you go out and pick the person that you think you'd like to have at a desk next to you. If you've done a deal with someone and they really strike you as a person that fits our culture, you let us know and let them know, and we'll talk. And we grew the company that way. And and even though as large as we are right now, we're still very specific in terms of who we bring into the company, because we feel like the minute we stray from the philosophy of a strong integrity person, a strong collaborative person, we'll lose something and we'll become, like everyone else. Sometimes it's something we don't want to be.
Well, what this sounds to me like, what you're talking about, Larry, is a relationship-driven business versus a transactional driven business. How does building relationships, does that hinder the transactional side or does it assist the transactional side?
I think exact opposite. It's the what do we say? The wind under the wings. To have a person with integrity and with good relationships, they treat their clients the same way. And so I think it permeates throughout our entire organization, because if we find the right people that fit our level of integrity and our level of service, they're going to give that to the client and customer, and that's going to cause them to be successful. And
Right.
that's kind of the way we've driven it.
Well,
We talk a little bit about the history of your company.
Sure.
Going back, and I've been in the business so long that probably there was, wasn't it Gibson Domain?
Yes, it was.
What was it before that? Was it Betty Gibson?
It was,
or was that a
I
different
think it was
company?
Prudential, to be honest with you. I think it was Prudential before it went Gibson Domain. Prudential Gibson, I guess, was what it was called. I don't
Was
really.
there a Betty or Betsy
Yeah.
Gibson?
Betty's the originator. She started that company in 1962 in the South
Okay.
End. Yeah, like when it was the Wild West. And she was an iconic woman.
Not the Wild West now, right?
It's not the Wild West now.
Okay,
It's
we'll come back to that, and you can explain why it's not.
yeah,
But
but then it was, and she was a woman that wore a very large hat and drove a Cadillac, and she just was a figure within the community, and
Okay.
she led the real estate industry in that market.
So how old were you in 1962?
62, I was. I hate to say this publicly. I was 10 years
Tough
old.
questions here.
10 years old.
10 years old.
Yeah.
So were you at one of Betty's desks selling real estate?
No. I
open?
actually, I'll give you a little history if you want. I come from. I started out in Century 21. I was in the Century 21. Well, actually, I started out in the trucking industry, and I was there for 14 years. And I left the trucking industry and went into real estate, joined Century 21. In those days, that was the brand to join. And I fell in love with Century 21, and I led it to the point where I was the regional vice president for all New England. I had 400 offices underneath me, and I managed those. And then HFS, who is now Realty, acquired Century 21 Corporation, and they kept me and laid off. My company, my office was 40 people, and there was 2 left when they finished. So now I had an entire 1,000 offices I had to oversee for the Century 21 system. Eventually, they moved me into all the brands. I ended up being the franchise sales senior vice president for franchise sales for ERA, Coldwell Banker, Century 21. I had 3 teams that traveled 1/3 of the country, and I saw 1,000 offices. And I guess that's probably where I learned a lot more than most people would have. It's almost
So that's the Sotheby's connection is your history.
Yes.
Going back. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all that experience, Larry, let's talk about what makes a great agent, because we have a lot of young agents watching us right now. Let's give them something. What have you noticed makes a good agent? Someone just starting out or someone in the first couple of years?
This industry, and I don't have to tell you to that, but this is a tough industry. People don't realize it until they dip their toe in the water. It looks from the outside like it's, wow, I'm going to make thousands of dollars, and that's not necessarily the case. In my day, when I was young, you could knock on doors, you could get yourself known just by sweat equity.
Right.
And now you can't do that. So there has to be a company behind you that can tap into your network, make you experience. What we do is we put them in as we give them mentors. We don't let people just go out and try to find their way. We have a mentor with them, and they go through at least 4 transactions with them. Make sure that they understand first the transactional side, but more importantly, the cultural side, the integrity and all of the things that you have to do. So we never just, if it's a newer person, they never just are let free and go do your thing and God love you, I hope you do well. We're
Yeah.
not. One of the reasons, the only time I'll mention my brand is, one of the reasons I'll say that is, my belief is that nobody hires a Sotheby brand to be practiced on.
Right.
And that's the reason we won't allow that at all.
Right. Well, Keller Williams provides mentors, and I don't know if you followed the NAR program, the C2EX, where there's the program for trained and competent agents like ourselves to go back and just kind of brush up on things, because so much of our business is by the seat, and they're not always passing everything by the brokers like the two of you guys.
So we have coaching. See, we kind of do everything internally. We've created, that's another good upside to me being in Realogy and seeing all of what I went out there. I saw good stuff and I saw bad stuff. We try
Right.
to implement the good. Good as training, good as coaches, good as people that interact with each other. So even our experienced agents are constantly reminded or monitored, and we're always available to them if they want us. So we do everything more or less internally, and don't really, nothing against the NAR programs or anything, but we kind of work within our own systems.
Well,
So
yeah, and
let me just ask this one question. It's a follow up. So 50, 60 years ago, you were saying the industry was akin to the Wild West, and it apparently, in your opinion, isn't like that now. How has it changed over the years?
Well, I wasn't referring to the industry. You were asking me about Betty Gibson in the South End, and I was referring to the South End as being the Wild West.
Oh, the South End.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
back
a
then, I guess
different
so.
world. Yeah, and the
All of
real estate
Boston.
industry has evolved, but it's evolved through technology more than anything else.
I mean, we used to have the combat zone. We don't have that anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, Boston is
Yeah.
well, that
Boston
We're
is
talking
now
about the industry.
a really stylish city. Look at all the movies that are filmed here. There's a reason
Yeah.
for it.
It's an amazing city.
what I was looking for, Larry, and you gave part of it, is new agents. And what I've just heard you say is new agents need to look for a mentor, need to look for someone who has been there, who is going to share insight, information, direction, and be helpful to them, at least through the first four transactions.
Yeah, and you know,
Appreciate tips.
there's brands. I'm not sure of your brand, but I know there's brands where they have complete orientation programs and startup teach
They
for
all
new
do.
agents. Yeah,
They all do.
some of them are frankly they're better than I am. We are at it because we want people that have a different desire in a sense. But there's brands out there. If someone wants to be brand new, they can get in there and they're going to follow them right through till they can finally do a deal.
Well, a lot of that has to do with sitting in front of a computer and watching videos. And that really does not teach you how to talk to people, how to adjust when they say something that's off script or something that's crazy. Um, People are crazy, and they're particularly crazy in these big um, uh, events of buying and selling properties because it's so much money involved.
Yes.
We're so technology has really changed our industry. It's changed the way we do business. We have Zillow now, and there's always been discount brokers, but now their names are different. Everybody's willing to do it cheaper, but it's like the joke: how many real estate agents does it take to change a light bulb? Uh, 100, one to change the light bulb, and 99 to say I could have done it better and cheaper. Um, you don't want to be that agent.
No,
Um,
no, I call that the race to the bottom. There's a lot of companies that are racing to the bottom, and we're not going to go there. We're not there. We provide what I think is a exclusive quality service, and hopefully the customer sees that, client customer sees that.
so where do you see it going in the future?
Well, you know, you mentioned technology, and the horrific COVID experience caused us all. There were many technology tools out there, but no one was really embracing them. We were doing the old-fashioned things that we were doing when the COVID came. We all had to become technology savvy, and it forced my company. It's actually a good thing because it forced us into that, and we embraced it. My agents embraced it, and you know, you talked about videos. We set up a work from home site, and we had to literally do videos on every aspect of the new technology, so that they could go in and watch that before they tried to do anything. And you know, it worked for us. I mean, we sold properties through that. We still are doing that. You know, people will get a little sensitive about having a property seen. We have an entire technology platform that we can introduce to the clients and customers and get them interested in the properties.
Right. Have you given any, right now, there's such little amount of inventory. How have you helped your agents who are working with buyers deal with the emotional trauma of 7, 8, 10, 20 offers not getting accepted and keeping those people still focused and still out there? How do you deal with that?
Well, it's about empathy. I mean, again, I'm speaking for my company, but we do frequent Zoom meetings with each office with regional areas, and they're working very hard. And guess what? Some of the buyers, we say one listing, there's one happy buyer and there's 25 unhappy people, and that's the hard part of the business for these agents, because it eventually reflects back on them. They have to be upset with someone and they get upset with the agent. So it's a constant empathy thing that we work with them. But one of the things that I've found, I was just doing my quarterly numbers, looking at my numbers, and it's amazing to me how many buy sides my company has. I mean, we have so many listing sides, but the buy side, it's almost a 50-50 split, which tells me the company I have out there marching around is actually doing a very, very good job of this, because every deal is a competitive deal. Every deal is multiple offers. So we're winning a lot of them. So I think that's part of the good thing of having a company that you pay attention to and get the right people. They still have the frustrations. Everybody does. But as long as we're winning some, that our agents are at least making some money, and better than that, so there's clients out there that are being satisfied.
So Larry, you brought up COVID and technology. So there's a couple of companies I'd like you just sort of like your opinion. There's a Zillow platform. There's the Redfin platform. So now there's a couple of companies. One went public today, Compass. EXP has been a publicly traded company with an army of agents all trying to recruit everybody under the sun. That's their business model. But EXP, for example, had that, or still has that virtual world. So in COVID, from basically, you don't even have to leave your bed. You can jump right in. You're going to work. What do you think of these companies? And sort of like, where's the future of real estate with all this technology heading?
I think the technology is always going to be moving forward. There's always going to be changes. We're going to have to track it. The difference, we all have different business formats, I guess, and so we're not in the space to compete with the technology real estate companies, because I still, what I started with when we started talking, I still believe there's a relationship in a face-to-face business that has to occur. Now, does that mean everywhere? There's iBuyers. Let's talk about that. iBuyers are out there. Well, iBuyers aren't necessarily getting the high-end properties, nor even the middle properties. They're getting the lower markets. And so there's a niche for everybody and there's room for everybody. But a company like myself isn't going to change my direction because there's a stock market, or that stuff is, it's going to be.
Your company is traded too. I'm thinking more in terms of, for example, is Compass really a technology company? Is it any more
if you've read any of the articles
than Sotheby's, for example?
Yeah, if you've read any of the articles lately, there's questions to that. How are they that vastly different than the rest of us? But that's up to consumers. Again, I don't want to denigrate anyone. I don't want to challenge anyone. It's
this isn't that. Maybe I improperly framed the question. You've been doing this a while, and you actually sold real estate at one point, right? You actually maybe did an open house, and you had buyers you took around and wrote offers and all that stuff.
He was a successful agent, Jim, for many years.
Okay, so my question is, when you strip out all the technology, is this technology necessary at all? MLS, of course, is a technology, and I don't think we could live without that. So let's say 1 point for technology with MLS. But beyond that, put a yard sign out on a well-priced listing, a piece of paper and a pen to write down the names of the people that come in, brochures, or if you want to be green, you can just send them links to a digital brochure. How much technology do you really need to sell a well-priced property?
Well, we're going to tend to disagree, Jim, on this, because I think technology is an extremely important part of it.
I agree.
I don't think it's the end-all, be-all, but I think that let's just say exposure equals price. Let's use the old-fashioned slogan: exposure equals price. Well, technology allows me to expose my properties into the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, to my entire Sotheby's network in an instant. When we list a property, it's instantly there. So technology is a big piece of it. But to your point, I still believe the relationship is a key component. And I think that's as important or more important.
And that is zero technology.
And that's
so you're kind of making my point, not that I was trying to make a point, but my point is a good broker, you could tie their hands behind their back, take all the technology away from them except for just a couple things like MLS, which disseminates the listing worldwide in seconds. So all the Wall Street Journal marketing.
No, let's stop there, Jim. MLS doesn't disseminate it worldwide in seconds. It shows you Massachusetts brokers. There's not a network of MLSs. They're all individuals. So there's got to be a means for the whole world, as you say, to see it. And you couldn't operate. I would love to compete against someone that says I'm not going to use technology, and I'm going to beat Gibson Sotheby's International Realty, because that right there, I can't see how I could lose to a client and say I want to expose you to millions of opportunities. Not
you would have to track where the buyer actually came from.
Well,
but that MLS that we're talking about, puts the listing into Zillow, Realtor.com, and literally a million other websites instantaneously.
That's your technology.
That can be viewed anywhere in the world.
And that's your technology.
And what I'm saying is that's in theory, other than the yard sign, although houses sell without yard signs, you almost don't need anything else. I mean, a good broker to negotiate, but that's not technology.
When you're selling multi-million-dollar properties, so there's more to it than the MLS.
There absolutely is, and one of the biggest pieces of technology we're forgetting about. But let's run our ad now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about a cell phone and how that's absolutely essential for everybody.
Yeah, that's true too.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you're ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real estate the easiest decision you've ever made. Start your search anytime, 24/7 at castlesunlimited.com.
To do the opposite.
Hey guys, we're back. Thank you. And we did have a fight about our cell phones, important or not. What do you think, Jim? Cell phones, are they technology or not technology?
They are definitely technology.
And every agent needs it.
But I could still sell a house without it. If my cell phone fell in a puddle and I didn't have it for 2 days, and my desktop allowed me to put a listing in, I'll figure it out. I'll do it with my desktop. I'll put an open house in, and I'll say, meet me at the house, and in an hour and a half, I'll get the buyer. No cell phone.
So we can figure that out at some time. Let's get back to, because we have Larry with us right now. Larry, one of the things that agents think about is coming into the business and going out of the business. So your exit strategy years from now, one of the ways that many agencies have worked, Keller Williams, EXP, Jim's company, they're giving residuals to people either to recruit or to maintain people. How important is that in the ongoing business?
So are you saying someone trying to leave the business in terms of the longevity? They're done
Well,
with the business?
I was at Keller Williams at one point, and what they said to us is, you want to be able to be on the beach, knowing that the 30 people that you recruited and the 800 people that they recruited are still paying you some kind of a residual. That was the pitch at that point. And
Right.
Getting residuals for bringing in other agents builds the agency. I don't necessarily think it builds a lifetime of wealth for somebody who's sitting on a beach if you're not buying and selling property anymore.
Right. if you're talking about someone that may be leaving the business and has let's say a book of business and something behind them, in our company we try to match them up with a younger agent in terms of a nice fit. They have to fit, obviously, and then hopefully when they decide to move out and move on, they still have a referral opportunity for everything that happens. And everyone, realtors never quit the business. They're always involved in some fashion. So we try to make that happen. We haven't had no one retires, I think, anymore. But so we haven't had to deal with it. We have a few that we have in play, and it's kind of like something we're looking at. My daughter, Nicole, is my VP of business, and she's actually working on a plan for that. And she's pretty deeply into it, but we have not implemented it yet. But, for the retiring side, we are trying to address that. But I've got agents with 30 and 40 years with me right now. So, and they don't indicate, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. So I guess we'll just have to figure it out. But we are looking at it, I guess, in a sense.
But that is a good question. So you don't plan to ever leave the business, I guess. So no exit strategy at this point never crosses your mind?
As an owner?
Yeah, well, as someone who might want to work less than, I don't know how many hours you work.
It's a legacy play, essentially, is what we're talking about, where the older agent brings on a younger agent. And we've got a few of those going. So
I'm talking about you personally, Larry.
It's a legacy play for me. I have a family. I have my two daughters work for me in the corporate office. I have a daughter that sells, and my leadership team. So we'll figure out among the leadership team how we can carry on. It really is what it is. So I may go off into the distance at some point, but I don't see it right now, to be honest with you. But when it happens, it'll be more of a legacy thing, and the business will continue to flourish.
So let's jump off and just see if we can have a little bit of fun. One of the arguments that Jim and I have is about the music every week. So Jim has asked if we'll play 4 pieces of music, and Larry, you get to choose which one is our goodbye music.
Make it simple. Make it simple. We heard the first one already.
Okay, so
just play another one and see which one. We'll boil it down.
Is that Jim playing that?
You know what? It does sound like, because I did that. I did open once. Larry and I sang a song, and I played the guitar.
See, I knew that.
It was horrible. It was.
Yeah. I put new strings on the guitar. That made all the difference.
Right. Yeah.
No, it seriously was.
Larry, I truly appreciate you coming in and sharing with us your insight. It's been great to talk to you. Maybe you can come back someday.
Are we going? We're 2 minutes short. We have more time. You have another question for Larry, don't you?
Well, yeah.
I want to know where the name domain came from. Wouldn't one domain have been enough? It's like 2 Dakotas. We don't need north and south. 1 Dakota would have been fine.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but unfortunately, I didn't have anything to do with the name, so I
Was that before your time with the company?
Yeah, we bought Gibson Domain. That's the company we bought.
Yeah. And you probably thought it was a silly name when you bought it, right?
Well,
good company, silly name.
Well, we had other plans. We were talking to Sotheby's at the time, so we knew we were going to try to get approved by Sotheby's, and we'd be Gibson Sotheby's. The domain thing never really came into play for us.
Here's my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl. It's
like a stutter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe it was eye-catching. I don't know. I had nothing to do with it. So
yeah. How about legacy? What legacy would you like people to be thinking about 20 years from now with Gibson Sotheby's?
Well, again, I'm going to say to you, this might sound hokey, but I like integrity. I like people that have integrity, that work hard. We call it white glove service, and I would love for that to carry forward and even beyond me. But, I don't have control of that except for one thing. I have the most amazing leadership team, and we're all in sync right now. So I have to think the company's going to continue to run in the same fashion that it does now.
And how many people are part of your leadership team?
I have on the leadership team itself, there's 25 people.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how do they direct you? I mean, you make the decisions. It's you are the founder. So
Yeah,
how
well, myself and Paul McGann, but we've put you have to entrust people. That's really what it is. And you have to they make as many decisions as I make. If there's something major financially that has to make a decision, Paul and I will weigh in. They'll present. I always say when someone says no to me, they have to have a solution. And that's how we operate. So if I have an idea and I'm an older guy, so maybe I'm coming at it from a different perspective. My team is a younger team and they see it differently. And we might have a disagreement. And they say no to me, and I'll say, no, okay, mine isn't a good idea. What is your idea that's better? And that's kind of how we get to all of our, solve all our problems.
Well, I get one last question because we're running out of time. So Larry, I'm part of a network called Realm Global. You may have heard of them. So it's top brokers from all over the world, and we get on a Zoom chat every Wednesday and share ideas and listings, and we have top speakers and stuff like that. So that's a shout out to Realm. But they always, when someone is presenting a listing, there's a group of agents, and they ask them on the Zoom call, what's your definition of luxury? So what I know, Sotheby's is framed to be a luxury brand.
Yes.
What would your personal definition of luxury be?
Well, we have a slogan within our company: luxury is not a price point, it's an experience. And that's what we try to attain whenever we do anything.
So that's your personal.
Yep. Yeah. It's not about whether it's 10 million or 200,000. It's about how they're treated, the experience they receive. That's
okay.
Our definition of
luxury. So you're trying to give them a luxury experience with the brokerage.
With the brand. Yep.
And, like akin to a concierge service. I know these, you said white glove, concierge. These are when you care very much about the experience your client is having, not necessarily you. They're not going to see all the work behind the scenes that you're putting in all the time. And luxury is a feeling. It's not necessarily a price point. I love that aspect of it. Thanks.
Don't you give that to Realm now, Jim?
Pardon me?
I say, don't you give that to your Realm group now. I want you to keep that in house.
Don't worry about it. They don't listen to me. I'm on forever mute there.
Right. You're on a need to not know basis.
No, it's just they threw that at me. Your company had a listing that I have now, and I was presenting it, and I was the last presenter, so of course I was the one who was throwing the hot potato first, and I had no preparation, of course, just like on the show.
Some of us prepare and some of us don't.
Listen, I got to bring the spontaneity to the show. I keep things moving.
So you agents out there listening, please prepare, because you will beat the unprepared agent every single time because you'll know the answers. In any event, I want to thank Larry Rideout from Gibson Sotheby's International. Such a great show. Thanks again. Look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
Thank me. What am I, chopped liver?
Thank you for the liver.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Rideout.
Nice to meet you.
It's another broker talk.
We didn't ask Larry which song